Secret. Well, excited for another opportunity to go out on the practice field and get better. We have a huge challenge in front of us, in the Jets, and really it starts with the quarterback. And he's done it for a long time. One of those guys that he's played at a very high level for an extended period of time and can really do it all. Can move outside the pocket, can make all the throws. It's a very difficult challenge defensively to try to contain. I would also say, the backs. I think the backs, let's start with Hall, just one of those guys that whether, you're talking about the pass game or the run game, is a very explosive player. One thing I told the guys, look, we're all at the point of attack when this guy has the ball in his hands, whether they throw it to him or it's a handoff. And those guys up front, for the Jets definitely work hand in hand and do a good job moving people off the ball. And obviously, look, they have some good receivers as well. And anytime you add a piece to the puzzle, and Adams, a Hall of Fame player, it's a problem. So they present a bunch of different problems for our defense, and we have to make sure that we're all on the same page. And we always talk about marrying up the rush with the coverage, and also in the run game, making sure that we're in our right alignments and all hats to the ball. Defensively, for those guys, very disruptive group, and will probably get even more disruptive with the addition on the edge. So they have some great edge players, and once again, it starts with the edge players, and really 95. Like, he's a problem. He's one of those guys that you can't let him go out there and get started. He's definitely a game wrecker. I've been a huge fan of his for a long time. He's just one of those guys that, as you watch film, continue to pop off the film. And saying that, they have a bunch of good players. Obviously, they're dealing with injury situations in the back end, but all teams at this stage are dealing with injury situations. Now, in saying that, they have guys that are ready to step in and guys that have played for a long time. So, Jalen Mills being one of those guys that probably expected to show up. And then, obviously, special teams is always one of those things that we expect to go out there and play hard, play tough, and those guys definitely take a lot of pride in their special teams. Kicker has been doing it for a long time. Morstead, all those guys have been very productive in this league for an extended period of time. So we got to have a good day today, and then really it comes down to winning the game on Sunday. I think that's what we need as a team, and that's what we expect every time we step foot on the field.
You mentioned on Fridays it'd be better to do this stuff after practice. Sometimes when we ask you about availability of certain players, but from what you know right now, like Vidarian, trending toward maybe having a chance, or hard to know?
It's hard to know right now. We'll see how today goes, and hopefully he's there. He's been a solid player for us and a very steady hand for us up front when he's out there.
And then along the same lines, just on Taki, he came back 2 weeks ago and was obviously down in the last game. Was that just a case of maybe you needed to peel that back a little bit, or relative to the health, or was that something before?
No, I mean, it's more, look, when we look at the roster, there are a bunch of different factors that are taken into play, and we just decided as a group it wasn't time yet.
With Javon Baker last week, was his absence from the game related to the illness, or was it just typical of him being inactive for 2 weeks?
Yeah, once again, it's just, a bunch of different factors, and he was just inactive based on the numbers.
What does he have to do to get on the field?
Just continue to get better and continue to, not only is he going to be a good receiver, but he's also one of those guys that just loves football. He has to continue to improve in special teams as well. But look, there will be a time when he's on the field, and he'll be a good player for us.
Jerod, Kendrick Bourne said yesterday, sort of alluded to players staying out too late. Was there an issue in London with players staying out too late?
No, there wasn't an issue. I think it was taken out of context. I had a conversation with Bourne, and it was taken out of context. Those guys did a good job traveling, and they did a good job, adjusting to the time difference.
What specifically was taken out of context in your view?
I'm not going to get into that. Like I said at the beginning, our main focus is really just about the Jets.
Jerod, KJ had said that everything in that social media post was accurate, and assuming that's true, why did he find out at 11 on Saturday night that he was going to be active after he was told he was going to be inactive?
Yeah, you guys talked to KJ. Once again, for me, it's about looking forward, and we're looking forward to the Jets and trying to go out there and get a win.
On the drive with your rushing forward, what do you feel like you guys can do to unlock a little bit more pressure when you're not when you're not blitzing? You talk about Rodgers, got to start with him. What can you do when you're only rushing 4?
Yeah, I think, you have to put it in two different buckets. You have early down pass rush and third down pass rush. I would say, we have to continue to work on our early down pass rush and converting. The only thing about early downs, you also have to take the run into consideration. So, and then I would say on third down, it's just about, executing the play. We had opportunities. We have had opportunities throughout the season to get, sacks on third down. We just got to make sure we do a good job finishing.
Alex mentioned yesterday that you guys had a meeting about basically doing more and on the field and off in terms of getting yourselves ready. Why was that an important message to share with the team this week?
That's always the message. It's always the message, especially when you sit here, with our record right now. We have to try to figure out ways to go out there and get better. And once again, look, have a good team coming in here, and we have to have, great energy and really be on the same page in every phase of the game.
KJ Osborne, you sort of alluded to that he wouldn't mind being traded.
I can't hear you.
So with KJ Osborne, you sort of alluded to this week that he wouldn't mind being traded. Have you talked with him about that? Has he put in a request or asked to be traded?
I've had conversations with all the players, about a lot of different things. What I will say, he's on the team now, and we look forward to him playing on Sunday.
In that meeting yesterday, it sounds like Bentley sort of had a primary voice at times. How difficult has it been to have big voices in the room, whether it's Bentley or Andrews or anybody else that they can't play? So I don't know if that limits their effectiveness in terms of their voice, but how do you see that?
Look, those guys were voted captains, and they still remain captains even though they're not out there on the field. I remember even for myself, I was on IR for 3 years where I was still voted captain, and it is difficult, but at the same time, it's something that has to be done. Those guys are still leaders on this team. They're still on the sideline. They're still in all the meetings. And, look, they want us to win just as much as everyone else.
And when it comes to on the field or during the games, what's that process like? I know Keon White mentioned that the defense is still looking for leadership and guys are kind of stepping into different roles. So without those guys on the sideline, how does that kind of affect the leadership?
Well, when those guys are on the sideline, which, obviously, Dave with his surgery and things, when he gets healthy, he'll be out there on the sideline. Bentley's been out there. They see the game through a player's set of eyes, and I think it's good to have their input on the sideline.
Beginning of the season to now, Tyquan Thornton's kind of been going down in reps to being inactive. Just what's kind of been going on there with him from what you've seen?
Look, what I will say is, again, saying in the present that Tyquan has done a good job in practice, and looking forward to seeing him in a game. He will be at the game. He's had a great week of practice, and he'll be there, and hopefully it translates.
I know he's only had 2 starts, so I feel like the answer could be everything. But when you look at Drake and his development, what do you want to see specifically from him next if there are benchmarks or boxes to check?
Those are conversations that, I've had with him, AVP has had with them behind closed doors. You just look for him to continue to get better and operate the huddle. And, we always talk about limiting turnovers, whoever the quarterback is. We need to win this game right here. That's the main focus.
How would you describe it? I know there were players in the locker room who sort of, felt challenged by some of your commentary, after the game. How would you describe the intensity that you saw from players at practice this week?
My job is always to challenge these guys and always show them, what it is. What I will say is, we've had a good week of practice. We've had good weeks of practice, and now it just has to show up on Sunday.
Try to open with a long statement on the Jets. That's the first time we got one of those. But I don't know, coming into today, was that intentional?
Well, Coach Stacy over here is always telling me, focus on the Jets. So thanks, guys.